Hello everyone and welcome to the Anime Daily, and thank you for joining me as we go over a We Never Learn movie idea discussion. Now, a few things to clarify before I start this video. This video is just me giving you my thoughts on what I think might make a great We Never Learn movie. No official movie has been announced as of recording this video. And honestly, if you agree or disagree with the ideas I present to you in this video, that's fine, honestly. You can let me know what you think if you have a better idea or just any idea in general down in the comment section below. Let's get those creative minds flowing. Let's get talking. Anyway, starting us off, I want to talk about the kind of reason for this movie. So, for a movie, there doesn't have to be a reason, but I think one really good reason that would attract people in from the We Never Learn anime and manga scene would be to make a movie that kind of goes over the alternative endings. This basically gives us a better ending than what the anime itself already gave us, which, let's be honest, was pretty trash. So, we start off by having to think, how are they going to implement 5 different ending routes into 1 hour to 1.5 hour films? Well, I mean, it's pretty easy. They don't need to include everything. They don't need to include all of the Sekijo stuff from the Rizu route. They don't need to basically include all of the kind of Furuhashi breaking their leg type of thing. They can gloss over that ever so slightly, but still add hints of it as they get to the climax of each separate route. So hear me out. Here's how I'm going to lay it out. I'll tell you how I think it should go and how it should flow, and then you can tell me whether or not you think it's a good idea. How does that sound? Right? Let's go. So, first of all, if you remember, in the main timeline manga, Naruyuki is running towards his exams, and I think he goes towards a dog or something, and then he slips and falls down a flight of stairs. This is where he twists or injures his ankle, if I remember correctly, and then he ends up kind of just hobbling to his exam. What happens, though, if he doesn't twist his foot and instead hits the back of his head and has to go to hospital? Okay, fine. It's a bit dark. It's a bit kind of, whoa. And there's already a change from the original source. But just hear me out and then you can criticize it towards the end. So Naruyuki is actually in a hospital and he's kind of gone into this dreamlike state. He's hit his head. He doesn't quite know what's going on. So he falls into a sleep. And it's where this occurs that he wakes up, or thinks he wakes up, but he's actually viewing the scene within the Rizu route in where he's actually kind of helping Rizu build that board game. So they're making the board game for Sekijo. In the Rizu route, there is a scene where they're making the board games and they're kind of working together so that they can kind of present it. It'll be a great, fun idea. You can observe that. And then we shift over to another scene to where, they're promoting the board game. And then it's in this scene where we see Sekijo have her moment with her family. Now, we wouldn't have any build up to this or any knowledge of this if you're an anime-only watcher. If you're a manga reader, you're going to be a bit confused as to where this is coming from because it hasn't actually been referenced yet. But they can still kind of show this without actually explaining an awful lot. They can just have Sekijo sat at the table with her family just having a bonding moment. That would be quite quick, quite easy, and it's still going to be effective. So you don't need to change that in that respect. And then we shift over to the scene in where Rizu and Naruyuki play the board game. And this is where I would implement this kind of slideshow of images where it kind of shows flashbacks to their sort of bonding sort of time and how they kind of came to have the relationship that they currently have. I think that'll be very effective to kind of have this there. They could do it as anime sort of things, but what I would recommend is having it as manga panels. They can have that little faded sort of tingy background kind of flickering in the moonlight as they kind of talk and play this game. Now, the whole kiss scene. We can then shift to the kiss scene after that kind of whole board game situation and where Naruyuki and Rizu actually kiss. And it's after this that we see Misao, the little ghost child, turn around and say, "Bye-bye, Naruyuki," and Naruyuki gets thrown into another alternative ending. So then, this idea would then lead him into the Furuhashi route. Now, Furuhashi obviously had that whole kind of breaking her leg situation, and she had to kind of have Narayuki's help and all that, but we don't need to know that. We don't need to see that part. Honestly, we don't. We've seen Narayuki fall off in this movie down that flight of stairs already. We don't need to see Furuhashi do the same thing and have a similar injury, so to speak. So instead, what I propose is that we actually start at the Uruka confession within the Furuhashi route. That's right, Uruka confesses her feelings, and we can see Narayuki not actually witnessing the confession and his reaction to Uruka, but instead see Narayuki reacting to Furuhashi breaking down in tears because she thinks that she's actually lost Narayuki, the guy that she likes. This would obviously be a bit more impactful. We don't need to know that Uruka kind of, was rejected. We don't need to know that just yet. So we can see Furuhashi just kind of breaking down in tears, giving us and telling us as the audience that this is going to be more of an emotional part of the movie. And then we can kind of shift over to the scene in where I think it makes more sense to kind of shift over to the Rizu and Furuhashi kind of talk, in where Rizu kind of said to Furuhashi, look, you have to go into battle too, and this kind of prompts Furuhashi to act on her feelings. So we follow Furuhashi running towards Uruka, because that's what happens in the manga. She runs to Uruka and says, I'm sorry, but I'm doing battle as well. And then, of course, she runs to Narayuki, where she knows Narayuki is going to be. So, it's before she actually gets to Narayuki, I think we should have like another transition to Narayuki and Uruka having a speech about Uruka telling him, look, don't be sad, not act on your feelings because you're afraid to hurt mine. I'm fine. And I think that's needed because then it will show clarification and more kind of substance in Narayuki when he actually kind of reveals his type of feelings towards Furuhashi. So then we have that, and then we go back to the whole kind of on that cliffside underneath the starry night where Narayuki and Furuhashi kind of tell each other how they feel about each other. And again, we can have one of those kind of montages of like panels where it kind of brings up the memories and creations that kind of pop up. But I think this can appear in like the sort of starry night sky because it will kind of suit Furuhashi's character a lot more because it's based on the stars. I think that'll be pretty cool. Again, it doesn't need to be like on the screen like completely, just like little faded, just so you can just make it out. Maybe give that grainy effect. I think that'll be pretty cool. And then obviously we'll have the kiss scene between Furuhashi and Narayuki, and then we switch to the Azumi route. Now, because the Azumi route has not ended as of recording this video, I think it's probably best to kind of just speculate as to what we can see from this. And bearing in mind, we haven't had Kirisudru yet, so again, we're going to have to speculate a little bit on that, but hey. Again, this is just an idea. You might have something different. We can just have a discussion down in the comments or wherever. So then, I think we start this off by Narayuki just kind of flying in through Azumi's shower room. Yes, this is what happens in the manga series, and I think it'll be quite like an abrupt and comedic way to kind of transition from a serious, light-hearted-ish kind of romantic type of scene to a full-on comedy. I think that'll be quite fun. It might be a bit too abrupt, but at the same time, it fits the logic of we never learn. So then, we have Narayuki just burst in, and then Azumi's just like going, Koa? Okay. And then we see some more shots and some more scenes. And then, obviously, I think one thing that definitely needs to appear in this part of the film, in the Azumi route, is the tickets that Narayuki bought. There was a lot of emphasis on the tickets in the chapter that I reviewed. Should be a card up on screen somewhere. But then we should get this in the film as well, because this will add on to the whole kind of reason and the whole build-up to Azumi and Narayuki finally getting together. And of course, we can have one of those montage things towards the end. There might be some sort of like running or some sort of like expression or shouting or something similar. Again, we don't know the ending to this route, so it's difficult to say how it's going to go. Now, with Kirisu, again, we have to have a Kirisu segment. I don't really know how we're going to transition into that, because again, I don't know how the Azumi route is going to finish, and I don't know how this Kirisu route is going to start. But again, we can still have all of this being showcased. And then we can end off with Uruka. I think it's important to end up with Uruka because the anime did actually emphasize that Uruka might have been someone that, you know, Naruyuki might have actually went for in the end. Because obviously that ambiguous ending that we got from the anime, where they all saw Uruka off and it was kind of like an awkward kind of look between Naruyuki and Uruka. So I think Uruka ending route is actually suitable here. And I think it's safe to say you got to add the confession. You got to add Naruyuki kind of being a bit more torn about his feelings. And you definitely have to add the scene of him running towards the airport. I think you have to. And that's where I would actually add in the kind of the montage again of panels where you see their character building and their relationship building kind of coming into fruition. And that is obviously when he's running towards the airport, because he runs, he gets in the car with Kurisu, he goes on the back of Azumi's bike, and obviously it's a long stretch, so it'd be a nice way to kind of break up the running, I suppose, that happens. And overall, I think, again, you can end with a kiss and you can do that, but then to end off the film, Naruyuki would then kind of open up his eyes. He would open up his eyes, and what he would see is he would see all of the girls that he's just seen the ending routes to, surrounding him and staring at him, giving him a worried look. He wakes up, gives a nice smile, and goes, well, I guess in each alternative route, we never learn. Closes his eyes again, and then the film rolls to credits. Now, that might be a bit cliche, but at the same time, again, it's meant to give us a better ending than what the anime has actually given us before. And I think it's worth kind of seeing how you can break up these routes and put it into one big segment, like a movie, and put it into a time frame that kind of works and fits. I think we can still give each segment and each kind of route display its own sort of allocated amount of time, and still kind of make it really interesting and really unique to each audience. Will it drop off some people throughout? Maybe, but then you give them the kind of the fun stuff, the crazy stuff, and the goofy and the hilarious that the We Never Learn series brings along with it in tenfolds. So those are my thoughts on how you can present a movie that kind of recreates and rehashes the ending to make it even better. Now, you might have a different opinion on this. You might think, well, no, actually, they should make all the alternative routes into OVAs. Personally, I don't think they should do that because, A, they're making 5 episodes and possibly not everyone's going to watch it, so that seems like a real waste of time and effort and resources. So putting it into a movie would just kind of compact it and make it so it's more likely for everyone to actually watch it. If you paid to go to the cinema to watch this route because you know that your favourite character's got an ending in it, you're going to stay for the rest of them to see how the others kind of get Naruyuki. And I think this film would work in a sense, and they could call it We Never Learn Alternative. Which again, alternative ending, alternative routes, goes with both things like the anime and like the manga. But that's just my opinion, that's just my thoughts. And yeah, maybe you have a better creative idea. Let me know in the comment section down below. I want to know what you can come up with. Maybe I'll feature some of the ideas that you come up with in an extra video after the manga has ended. Just for a bit of fun, you know? Trying to elaborate on them and try and like explore them. I think it's kind of fun. I love creative interaction, so let's get it going. Other than that though, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you liked the ideas I presented. And I hope you feel like, you know, you want to hit that like button. And you maybe want to subscribe if you're new, so you never miss a video from myself. Other than that though, hope you have an amazing day. Arigato, matane, goodbye.